about negotiations, right? Politics.
And we're out of time. So you.
Hey, y'all, Gravity. Any day above ground, live it. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your weekend. And it's a holiday weekend. Martin Luther King and all that. And the inauguration. And funny thing, I'm surprised Maggie ain't outside yelling that they're moving it inside. You know, infringement on freedom to assemble and all that. But I guess snow is MAGA's kryptonite. All right, whatever. But today it kicks off the series, the U.S. Constitution. So for, I guess it's going to seem like maybe till next January, Lord willing, if we're still here, we'll go over every amendment bi-weekly. That's how we're going to do it. We're going to go over every amendment. We're going to break it down. We're going to look at some landmark cases because this past election cycle showed me that a lot of people listen to folk about these amendments and they have no clue what they're talking about. And who knows, in between these amendments, we might have guests here. I ain't sure yet. Well, we're going to make sure you're informed because an informed populace is a smart populace. So before we do that, let's see who's in the building. Dre Bedford, hello. Wallow J, hello. Stolen Ancestors, hello. ST Johnson, hello. Gamers Den, hello. DSA1, hello. Miss Nisi, hello. Sybil, hello. Don P, hello. Reparations Nation, hello. Rohumuro, hello. And John Guillory, hello. For those who haven't said anything in live chat or the comments, hello. Well, Miss Nisi, we could always change that. You know that. We could always do that with some of these amendments. We could always do the vertical lives, especially the two-way one, because I love how those quote-unquote patriots like to come inside and tell you that they don't know anything, but they claim that they do. So we'll think about that. But let's begin. So, First Amendment, we all know what that is. If you know what the First Amendment is, put one of the tenets of the First Amendment in there. I was trying to see something. If you don't, put a 2. Because we got to make sure people know. I want to see where people's heads are at with this. Anyway, how are y'all doing today? I'm about to enjoy a 4-day weekend. So, we're going to have fun. I should have thought about driving to DC, but now that I know it's snowing, nah, we good. It's gonna be a bunch of Yetis trying to see Trump. Oh, this is great. So Wallow J said what the hell is that? Oh my god. And of course, Wallow J has to start off.
What the hell?
I don't know what that is, but you know what? That's North Carolina for you. Come on and raise up. Take your shirt off, twist it around your head, spin like a helicopter. All right. Freedom of speech. Okay. Sir, I asked, tell me something in the First Amendment. Thank you so much. All right. So far, I only got freedom of speech. All right. So as we all know, the First Amendment is a provision in the U.S. Constitution that guarantees the freedoms that many consider to be the essence of America. The 5 freedoms guaranteed by the First Amendment are speech, press, religion, assembly, and petition. Collectively, these are sometimes referred to as freedoms of expression. Freedom of speech is the foundation on which all other First Amendment freedoms are based. Without it, the other freedoms could not exist. The purpose of free speech is to protect the minority, often unpopular viewpoint, from being overpowered by the majority or by the government. Minority viewpoint needs to be heard because in the long term it may shape public opinion. Over the years, the courts have clarified when and how speech can and cannot be restricted by the government. For example, true threats and obscenity are not protected speech. Don't you just love when they say you can't yell fire in a crowded theater? They love to use that example. That's actually protected speech. Now, if you say that and then they cause a riot, then yeah, that's a crime. You're going to jail. But make sure you understand that, because they will try to gaslight you on that part. They will try. On the other hand, provocative or offensive political opinions are protected speech. By the way, MAGA sucks. The government can only regulate protected speech in very specific instances, such as protected public safety or national security. TikTok, anybody? Even though Section 230 protects them. TikTok, anybody? By the way, we have exclusive video of Singapore talking about the TikTok ban that is to go in effect on Sunday.
Y'all trying to get me go to hell.
By the way, they told you months ago, yeah, we're going to lose 170 million users, but we've got billions more. We don't care. So let's continue. Do you have the same rights at school? Now, I know a lot of us don't enroll in school, but we might have cheering. So make sure your cheering know this part. While you don't shed your constitutional rights when you go to school, they must be balanced with the rights of your classmates as well as the responsibility of the school to provide a safe environment and a quality education. Consider these questions as you study the case histories that follow. Do I have freedom of speech at school? Can my school restrict my speech or writing? If so, for what reasons? Can I be punished for what I say or write at school? So Tinker versus Des Moines, Iowa Independent Community School District, 1969. Of course, I had to start with white folk, but 3 public school students wore black armbands to school to protest the Vietnam War. They're suspended for school for refusing to remove them. They sued the district for violating their First Amendment rights. What do you think the Supreme Court decided? The school did violate the students' rights. Non-disruptive, passive, symbolic speech cannot be censored because it makes others uncomfortable. The symbolic wearing of armbands could not be shown to interfere with school discipline. The Supreme Court established the Tinker test, the standard that public schools must meet before legally restricting free speech or expression of students. The free expression of public school students can only be restricted if it threatens a material and substantial disruption of the educational process or invades the rights of others. But here's the funny thing, though. Remember how during the whole BLM saga, a whole bunch of folk were saying that them kids walking out of school and doing all that, they all need to be punished and suspended? Remember that? Pepper Tron remembers it. Isn't that something? A public school student was suspended for giving a speech at a school assembly that included indecent content. Matthew Frazier was a high school student who gave a speech to nominate another student for a student government office. Approximately 600 other students voluntarily attended the assembly in which the speech was given. The speech included repeated use of a, quote, elaborate, graphic, and explicit sexual metaphor in reference to the other student. The speech caused his fellow students to yell and make obscene gestures. He later admitted using sexual innuendo in the speech and was suspended. He was also banned from speaking at graduation. The school had a standard policy against disruptive content. He sued the school for violating his right to free speech. Now, remember what it said up here. Provocative, or no, not that part. True threats and obscenity are not protected speech. The school did not violate the student's rights. The First Amendment does not prevent a school district from disciplining a student for using speech that is lewd or indecent. It is the responsibility of the school to prohibit the use of vulgarity and to teach students about the boundaries of appropriate behavior. Yeah, because that's really been going on almost 40 years later, right? All right. The school district did not overstep its authority by punishing the student. So that's just 2 cases where it involves schools. Now, we go to this. I found this yesterday. 9 First Amendment cases that changed American law. Now remember, freedom of speech, assembly, religion, press, and expression. 9 cases. Now you're going to see how diabolical these people are when it comes to the First Amendment and why we need to watch out with these administrations, because these administrations like to skirt the law a little bit. So Schenck versus United States. Now this is very famous. The Supreme Court established a long-living First Amendment precedent March 3rd, 1919. Schenck versus the United States conceived a clear and present danger test to protected free speech under the First Amendment. The context was World War I. The defendant, socialist Charles Schenck, produced flyers that encouraged resisting the draft and was subsequently convicted under the Espionage Act of 1917. The Supreme Court determined that obstructing the draft can lead to a criminal conviction, arguing that during special circumstances such as wartime speech, such as Schenck could pose a clear and present danger. Writing for the majority, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes stated that the question in every case is whether the words used are used in such circumstances and are of such a nature to create a clear present danger that they will bring about the substantive evils that Congress has a right to prevent. It is a question of proximity and degree. So basically they're saying because he put that out there, he could have screwed up the entire war effort. Military industrial complex is fire, is it not? I just want to know. Propaganda, family. This is where propaganda started. I know y'all gonna go. We could always go back to what the KKK did in the late 19th century. Wait, late 19th century. We go ahead and do that. But can nobody beat this? This is the foundation for modern day propaganda. This is about freedom of the press. On March 10th, 1919, the Supreme Court ruled in Frowork v. United States that the conviction of a newspaper editor under the Espionage Act of 1917 was constitutional. The publication Missouri Staatszeitung criticized the U.S. involvement in World War I. Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote that the published articles were a, quote, willful obstruction on the country's war recruitment efforts. Again, military industrial complex. While Jacob Frowork argued that he never intended to obstruct recruitment, the court ruled that conspiracy to obstruct recruitment would be criminal even if no means were agreed upon specifically by which to accomplish the intent. Ooh, our favorite city, Chicago. What did they do? Let's see. Interminiello v. City of Chicago, the Supreme Court expanded upon the fighting words doctrine from the 1942 case Chaplinsky v. New Hampshire. According to the court, fighting words are those by which their very utterance inflict injury or tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace. So if you tell somebody I'm gonna kick your ass, there you go. What do they say? In this case, author Teminiello, a Catholic priest, or I was going to say a bad word, but I'm going to be quiet, delivered a speech to the Christian veterans of America in which he condemned various racial and political groups. The crowd got out of hand and the police were unable to maintain control. As a result, they arrested Teminiello for breach of peace. The Supreme Court reversed the conviction and held that the breach of peace statute violated the First Amendment. Justice William O. Douglas said in the decision, May 16, 1949, took 7 years, that the function of free speech is to invite dispute. It may indeed best serve its high purpose when it induces a condition of arrest, creates dissatisfaction with conditions as they are, or even stirs people to anger. Douglas noted that there are exceptions to free speech, which include the fighting word standard that was not applicable in this case. So we can be as disruptive as we want and can't do nothing to us. Cool. We continue. Lloyd Barenblatt, a college professor, was being questioned by the House Committee on Un-American Activities during the communism scare in the United States. Barenblatt refused to answer questions about his religious and political beliefs, and Congress found him in contempt for impeding the investigation. The Supreme Court on June 8, 1959 upheld the conviction of Barenblatt, stating that his First Amendment rights were not violated. In Barenblatt v. United States, the court wrote that where First Amendment rights are exerted to bar governmental interrogation, resolution of the issue always involves a balancing by the courts of the competing private and public interests at stake in the particular circumstances shown. So basically, he didn't want to answer questions about himself, and he thought that was protected. But considering that he was in a setting of interrogation, it's not protected. You first 48 cats, I hope y'all are understanding. If you're being interrogated, your First Amendment ain't exactly protecting you. Which is why there's another amendment that protects you, but we'll get there when we get there. We did that one. Georgia. On April 7, 1969, the Supreme Court ruled in Stanley v. Georgia that the First and 14th Amendments grant the right to the private possession of obscene matter. Officials searched Robert Eli Stanley's home when he was suspected of bookmaking or sports gambling. During the search, officials came across pornographic films, and Stanley was convicted for possession of obscene material. The Supreme Court, however, reversed the conviction and ruled that the state cannot criminally prosecute someone for owning obscene material and keeping it in their private residence. Justice Thurgood Marshall delivered the decision saying that, quote, if the First Amendment means anything, it means that a state has no business telling a man sitting alone in his own house what books he may read or what films he may watch. Our whole constitutional heritage rebels at the thought of giving government the power to control men's minds. Well, damn. Don't you just love this last sentence from Thurgood Marshall? Don't you just love that? We finna put that in the chat. Because we already know the government does this every day. Our whole constitutional heritage rebels at the thought of giving government the power to control men's minds. Was Thurgood Marshall woke? We'll let you answer that in the chat. I think he was. But that's just me. On April 21st, 1969, the Supreme Court ruled in Street v. New York that the states cannot make it a crime to verbally insult the American flag. Sidney Street burned a 48-star flag after hearing news of the attempted deletion of civil rights leader James Meredith. When the police approached him, Street said, "Yes, that is my flag. I burned it. If they let it happen to Meredith, we don't need an American flag." As a result, he was arrested for defiling and casting contempt upon the flag. To determine whether the speech was constitutional, the court evaluated whether the government had an interest in prohibiting Street from inciting others to criminality, encouraging a breach of the peace, offering passerby, or disrespecting the national emblem. Determining that free speech rights outweigh these public interests, the Supreme Court reversed the conviction because it was at least partially based on Street's verbal insults. The court did not answer the question of the constitutionality of burning flags for another 20 years. And now we got Trump talking about he trying to throw people in jail for a year if they burn the flag. Interesting. We'll see how that plays out. Red Line Broadcasting Code versus the FCC. Under the Federal Communications Commission's Fairness Doctrine, which was in place from 1949 to 1987, licensed radio and television broadcasters had to be balanced and fair when discussing matters of public debate. Red Line Broadcasting challenged the doctrine. On June 9th, 1969, the Supreme Court found in Red Line Broadcasting Company v. Federal Communications Commission that the Fairness Doctrine does not violate the First Amendment. The court stated that the requirement that a subject of any personal attack in public issue debate must receive the taped, transcripted, or broadcasted copy of the statement and an opportunity to respond on air for free was constitutional. Additionally, the court did not take any issue with the requirement that political editorializing must include both sides of the argument for balance. The court stated that the requirement that a subject of any personal attack in public issue debate must receive the taped, transcripted, or broadcasted copy of the statement and an opportunity to respond on air for free was constitutional. Long live politics. Politics is just one big, long rap battle. But that's beautiful content for us. Oh, by the way, for those who don't know what Red Lion Broadcasting Company is, we're finished. We're going to detour a little bit. And we'll let you know. Now, this is the case. In November 1964, a Pennsylvania radio station, WGCB, owned by Red Line Broadcasting, aired a 15-minute broadcast in which Reverend Billy James Hargis criticized author/journalist Fred J. Cook, who had written a book that shed a poor light on Senator Barry Goldwater. Hargis also alleged that Cook was affiliated with communists. When Cook learned about the broadcast, he demanded free airtime on WGCB to respond to Hargis's personal attacks against him, which was permissible under the Fairness Doctrine. The station rejected the request, after which Cook filed a complaint with the FCC, calling it a personal attack. And then they lost. But okay. And that also has to deal with freedom of the press. Now we go back. Texas v. Johnson. The Supreme Court returned to the issue of defiling an American flag in Texas v. Johnson on June 21st, 1989. Gregory Lee Johnson burned the flag in front of Dallas City Hall to protest President Ronald Reagan's administration. Which he was about to leave. But okay. But all right. He was already gone. But okay. Because Bush got in 88. But all right. Johnson was convicted under Texas law that prohibited flag desecration, but the Supreme Court overturned the conviction, ruling that burning a flag is protected under the First Amendment as political expressive conduct. The court stated that quote, if there is a bedrock principle underlying the First Amendment is that the government may not prohibit the expression of an idea simply because society finds the idea itself offensive or disagreeable. But again, Trump wants to give you a year for burning the flag. That'll be fun. And that's 9 cases. Now, this other site, because I'm not going to get into it too long. I got things to do. You could also check this. This is about censorship. That's a good one as well. So basically, what we're looking at when it comes to the First Amendment is most of your speech is protected and some of it isn't, but don't think it's absolute. And as I said, during this past election cycle, I saw a lot of people running outside, especially on social media, saying that on social media, your speech should be protected. Let me explain something to y'all. You're on a private application. The rules are different. That's why they have Section 230, because if they had absolute First Amendment privileges, you and that publisher, which is the social media app, and the subsidiary companies would all be getting sued every time you tweet something because somebody didn't like what you said. So you better be glad, as much as I hate 230, you better be glad 230 is it's in effect, or you'd be screwed right now. Now, again, we have seen this government screw with amendments. I'm not entirely convinced that they won't screw with the First Amendment again, especially now that Trump is bringing in all the social media heads now. Elon letting you see blocked accounts, Meta bending the knee because they want corporate profit. But we shall see. It's going to be a very interesting 4 years. I see a lot of First Amendment cases being litigated. If that's any indication what happened last couple of years with Google versus Black content creators and people versus Black content creators versus TikTok, we're going to see a lot. But anyway, I think going forward, a lot of these, unless there's going to be a guest, I'm probably going to be doing uploads on this. But I just wanted to do the first one live. So I think it's important to establish that going forward, this is what we're going to do. But I think it'll probably be easier for me to do these as pre-records. That way you can get me back in the groove of doing curated content. But of course, we'll let you know on the community tab. We'll let you know. I'll let you know if it's going to be live or it's going to be upload. We'll let you know. All right. So we close this out. But tomorrow, for those who don't know, we will be celebrating. Yes, we will be. The channel finally hit 1 million views last week. I want to say, I think it was last week. So we will celebrate that. We will go over the highs and lows of this channel. We'll allow y'all to come up. We'll play funny videos. I may even curse people out. I don't know. But we're going to have fun. And then the work doesn't stop. So we see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock again. And we will be live in full effect. And then who knows what the future holds. We will be here Monday for the inauguration inside. Now, inside, we're going to call it the inside inauguration of Donald Trump. By the way, they want Vivek again to go run for Ohio Senate, and they out there kissing his ass. It ain't gonna work. By the way, that's protected speech. But anyway, hopefully you learned something. If you did, I done my job. If not, I try to be better next time. I will see you in roughly 24 hours. We will have fun. I might even dress up over here. We'll see. Anyway, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Stay warm. Stay safe. Take care, and you know what to do when the ages of chaos come to mess up your existence.
Time's up.
But did we have a good time here? Hello?
Gotta get your groove on.
At the end of the day gotta end.
That's it.